everywhere. GBS.
Good afternoon. It's 1 p.m. here in Kenya's capital, Nairobi, and this is The Ambassador. With me, your ambassador, Paul Mathenge. This is where we debunk global diplomacy and geopolitics. To our first story now, the United Nations has urged for the release of Riek Machar, South Sudanese first vice president, who is currently under house arrest. Machar and his wife, who is the country's interior minister, Ajerin Teny, was served with the arrest charges on Tuesday. His arrest has attracted the attention of the international bodies demanding for his immediate release, as this could further turn things from bad to worse. Here is more on the same.
The arrest of Riek Machar, the first vice president of South Sudan, derailed South Sudan's fragile peace. This is according to the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, as tension keeps escalating, especially in the Upper Nile states between the government forces and the White Army, a militia group linked to Machar.
I have said it time and again that our country will not go back to war.
This week, the violence got closer to Juba after a ground attack which targeted an opposition army base and training center. The situation has been further complicated by the presence of the Ugandan troops to support the government, which Riek Machar states that is directly against the 2018 peace agreement, which specifically prohibits the presence of foreign troops on South Sudan soil.
The agreement we have just signed today must mark the end of conflict and war in our country. We should concentrate on timely implementation of the agreement.
International reactions have been swiftly made as the U.S. calls for the release of Riek Machar, and the Kenyan President William Ruto says that he has already spoken to Salva Kiir and will be sending a special envoy to South Sudan, led by Raila Odinga, to de-escalate the tensions. The situation is at a critical juncture at the moment, and the coming days will determine whether South Sudan will remain peaceful or will collapse into yet another war. Davis Karani, GBS Ambassador, Nairobi.
Tensions between Algeria and France has escalated after French-Algerian writer Boualem Sansal was sentenced to 5 years in prison for allegedly undermining Algeria's territorial integrity. This verdict comes amid a broader diplomatic crisis fueled by France's support for Morocco's plan for Western Sahara. Elvis Muyodi now reports.
French-Algerian writer Boualem Sansal was sentenced to 5 years in prison for undermining Algeria's territorial integrity after allegedly supporting Morocco's claim that Algeria's land was taken during French colonization. The Dar al-Baida court near Algiers also fined him nearly $4,000. His arrest worsened already strained relations between Algeria and France, especially after French President Macron backed Morocco's autonomy plan for Western Sahara. The diplomatic tensions have escalated since Macron's support for Morocco's stance on Western Sahara, which angered Algeria. In response, Algeria recalled its ambassador from France, further deepening the rift. Relations between the two countries, already complicated by the legacies of Algeria's independence war against France, have worsened under the leadership of Macron and President Abdelmadjid Tebboune. Despite their historical cooperation on security, trade, and migration, the two nations are now embroiled in a bitter dispute, with Macron accusing Algeria's government of using hatred of France as a political tool. Elvin Muyodi, GBS News.
There are concerns that South Sudan is on the brink of a renewed civil war following the arrest of the main opposition party leader, Riek Machar. His party said his detention has effectively collapsed a 2018 peace deal that ended 5 years of fighting, which left hundreds of thousands dead. Its deputy chairperson, Oyet Nathaniel, said the agreement, and I quote, has been abrogated, and that Machar's arrest shows a lack of political goodwill to achieve peace and stability. Peris Kigo with more.
Concerns are raising that South Sudan may be on the verge of renewed civil war after the arrest of opposition leader Riek Machar. His party claims the 2018 peace deal, which ended 5 years of fighting, has effectively collapsed.
We have also to do something in order to reach the goals we have set. And IGAD is keen and is ready really to move in that sense, and to engage the South Sudanese also to stand with IGAD for peace.
We South Sudanese, what we need peace and food. These are the two things that we are need for. There is nothing like aside, like what we had, what we've seen. We just need peace and food.
As much as detentions demonstrate a lack of political will for peace, Machar, who served as first vice president in a fragile power-sharing government with President Salva Kiir, was arrested by armed forces at his residence on Wednesday under unclear charges, despite his party denying any connection with the White Army militia involved in recent clashes. Tensions between Kiir and Machar's parties have been escalating since March, following an attack on an army base and government airstrikes in response. The violence, which has led to civilian deaths, is further complicated by the recent arrest of Machar's senior allies, leading to increased fears of a breakdown in the peace process. Peris Kigo, GBS News.
The Democratic Republic of Congo is facing its worst hunger crisis ever, with nearly 28 million people facing severe food insecurity. Escalating violence, displacement, and rising food prices have pushed millions to the brink, while emergency aid has only reached a small fraction of those in need. Meanwhile, in Sudan's Darfur region, grave violations against children have surged, with North Darfur alone reporting 110 verified violations and an 83% increase in child casualties compared to early 2024. Both regions are struggling with devastating impacts on vulnerable population. Teresa Chengo has more.
The Democratic Republic of Congo is facing its worst hunger crisis, with 27.7 million people struggling to find enough food. Violence and instability, especially in the eastern parts of the country, have forced many people to flee their homes, causing trade to stop and banks to close. Food prices have increased by 40% since December 2024, making essentials like maize flour and cooking oil unaffordable.
The data shows that 27.7 million people in the DRC are facing acute food insecurity. This is an unprecedented level. This is the highest level on record that we've seen in the country. Since December, we've seen these accelerated displacement in the east of DRC. We've seen a disruption to trade and markets. Banks in the east of DRC have been closed. That's causing a liquidity crisis that's having an impact on commodity prices. It's having an impact on people's ability to survive and to implement their livelihoods. The insecurity is also affecting farming in the east of the DRC. So the situation is bad now. It could possibly get worse.
Around 3.9 million people, including displaced families, are now at emergency levels of hunger. Despite its vast natural resources, the DRC's limited farming, poor roads, and lack of infrastructure have worsened the crisis. The World Food Programme has only been able to assist 600,000 people in 2025, far fewer than the 1.8 million they helped in December 2024.
2.5 million people have been pushed into acute food insecurity, and the needs are growing. The humanitarian situation in DRC is deteriorating at an alarming rate. Families who were already struggling to feed themselves are now facing an even harsher reality. We have been able to resume operations in North and South Kivu, but we urgently need more resources and more funding.
Meanwhile, the situation in Sudan's Darfur region is worsening, with over 70 children killed or injured in North Darfur in less than 3 months. Intense shelling and airstrikes in the Zamzam camp for internally displaced people have led to 16% of all child casualties in Al-Fasher since early 2025. Around 825,000 children are trapped in the conflict, facing daily threats from violence and the collapse of essential services. More than 6,000 people have been displaced since April 2024, with 300 of them being children. Access to these areas is nearly impossible, and people are facing shortages of food, water, and medicine, with over 457 children in North Darfur acutely malnourished, with 146,000 suffering from severe acute malnutrition. Aid efforts have been severely hindered, and supplies in areas like Zamzam are running out, putting 500,000 children at immediate risks. Both crises highlight the urgent need for international aid and intervention to prevent further suffering and loss of life. Triza Tiengo, GBS News.
The ambassador will take a short break. We will be right back with more as we debunk global diplomacy and geopolitics.
Anza wiki yako kwa njia sahihi kwa GBS Jumatatu.
Niko nawe hadi mida ya saa 4 asubuhi. Kwanza niseme asante kwa kuzidi kufuatilia na kutazama vipindi vyetu ambavyo huwa tunakuandalia hapa ndani ya GBS TV Jumatatu. People are now seeing the money that have been given to church as a bribe.
Jiunge nasi kila Jumatatu asubuhi kuanzia saa 1:30.
Nimesikia mwenzangu akifanya hesabu hapo ya vile ambavyo miungano zitakuwa. Ruto is going to fail whether with Raila or without Raila.
Kuna mahali anakosea akisema ati Raila na Ruto wataungana. Hakuna kuungana iko hapo, ndugu yangu, aje nikwambie ukweli.
Hadithi za kunoga.
Ukiangalia Wakenya, wananchi wa Kenya, pia hao maisha yao imedhulumiwa kwa kuongezwa kwa taxes, ziko very high taxes. So the statement by the Rigathi Gachagua is just statement ya kumcheck that we can see you we can see between the lines.
Na mazungumzo yenye nguvu ya kukuletea utulivu kwa wiki yako.
Ati Raila ataingia UDA hapo
nasema hivi mheshimiwa, ikiwa Raila
itakuwa, mimi naona itakuwa
hadi saa 4 za asubuhi kwa majadiliano ya kusisimua.
Mheshimiwa Rais William Samoei Ruto ajue ya kwamba sasa yeye ni president wa Kenya. Sio mambo ya kufanyia wana Kenya mzaha. Kupoteza biashara kwa siku moja katika CPD, nafikiria ni jambo ambalo ni rahisi.
Usikose, ingia kwenye GPS TV. Anza Jumatatu yako kwa kusudi.
If the government does not spend, my brother, hakuna maendeleo inaonekana, hakuna barabara zinatengenezwa, hakuna dawa kwa hospitali, my friend, economies will not grow.
Tuonane panapo majaliwa yake Mwenyezi Mungu.
GPS Jumatatu, palipo mjadala wa leo na mwelekeo wa kesho.
What is always before you but can't be seen?
Kudiscover talent.
Kudiscover. Ulijuangaje like unaweza imba? Like yeah.
Kini Trace Jumi Kipchoge kwa ngoma na mfala wananidis na wanabonga kwa ngoma, mafanjo ananipenda ndo nazidi kwa roga, wenye walenjaribu manze walishachoka na nikozabe meditation naendelesha generation niliofanya
Wewe at 1 year old ulikuwa unafanya nini? You're feeling the vibe. Ulitoa a few days ago, unaweza taka utuambie like ulikuwa unafikiria nini when you came up with the lyrics? Yeah.
So I'm doing my thing. Don't try and stop me when I'm doing my thing. I'm trying to boss, let me do my thing. And if you're trying to win, you can be on my team. Yeah, so I'm doing my thing. Don't try and stop me when I'm doing my thing. I'm trying to boss, let me do my thing.
You feel like you're young at heart, I'm an old soul. If you could only listen to one singer or band for the rest of your life, who would you choose?
And the question of the day is, can you survive without internet?
Ngumu, plus kuachilia hizo story tu zote zikupite ni ngori.
Niwaambie ukweli. Like hii ni kama kuambia mtu mwenye alikuwa amezoea kushindana nguo, mwambie toa nguo ushinde uchi. Hiyo huku atriki kwa sababu sasa like ilikuwa imekuingia kwa kichwa kabisa.
Mimi nimesomea day school na niocha. So kukuwa na simu hadi ni ile katururu, si smartphone, ni ile katururu.
Sasa unaweza kaa holi ya bila simu.
Kuspend hii most of the time kwa simu. Also you need to run skills. So nilipatana na later hapa nikakuwa player huko. And then I started learning skills. Digital skills.
Yes, hadi siku mbili haiwezi.
Kwa wiki naachilia hata kama ni siku mbili ama sometimes na extend to wiki mzima. Napata shiki simu yangu.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back to the Ambassador, and now a tragic incident occurred off the coast of Hurghada, Egypt on March 28th when a viewing submarine sank, resulting in the death of 6 Russians and the rescue of 39 foreign tourists. The submarine Sinbad and had 50 people on board, including tourists from Russia, India, Norway, and Sweden, along with 5 Egyptian crew members. Most passengers were rescued, with no one remaining missing. Here is more on the same.
On March 28, a viewing submarine named Sinbad sank off the coast of the Hurghada, Egypt, resulting in the deaths of 6 Russian and the rescue of 39 foreign tourists. The submarine, carrying 50 people from Russia, India, Norway, and Sweden, along with 5 Egyptian crew members, was equipped with large portholes for sightseeing at a depth of 25 meters. Most passengers were rescued and taken to hotels and hospitals in Hurghada, with no passengers or crew members still missing. Egyptian authorities are investigating the cause of the incidents, with the crew and the submarine owner, who are both licensed, being questioned. This sinking is part of a series of recent maritime accidents in the Red Sea, a region crucial to Egyptian tourism industry. Earlier incidents, including boat capsize accidents in June and November, have also been linked to high waves. Despite challenges, Egypt tourism continued to thrive, attracting visitors to sites like pyramids of Giza and Nile cruises. Paris Kigo, GPS News.
Tensions are rising in global trade as Brazil President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva criticizes United States President Donald Trump's decision to impose a 25% tariff on imported vehicles. While Trump claims the move will boost American manufacturing, Lula questions its benefits, especially for United States allies like Japan and Mexico, who are major car supplier. Elvis Moyodi brings us more, but we will bring these small details during the day. But now, the next story. Canada is taking a hard stand against the latest United States tariffs. Prime Minister Mark Carney says the country will not be forced into submission and vows strong revengeful measures. With tensions escalating, the government promises targeted actions to protect Canadians' workers and industries. Today, at the Ambassador, we will look at what this means for the future of Canadian trade and how both economies could be impacted. Vivian Wajala reports.
To the latest sound of US tariffs, Canada is preparing to take strong retaliatory measures to minimize domestic harm while exerting maximum economic pressure on the United States. Prime Minister of Canada Mark Carney has made it clear that they will not allow Canada to be weakened or forced into submission through trade actions.
I reject any attempts to weaken Canada, to wear us down, to break us so that America can own us. That will never happen. And our response to these latest tariffs is to fight. is to protect and to build.
With tensions escalating, Kanye has pledged a forceful response, indicating that no option is off the table when it comes to defending Canadian workers and industries.
We're all on the same page. We won't back down. We will respond forcefully.
The measures under consideration include targeted tariffs on American goods designed to hit key sectors of the U.S. economy while safeguarding Canadian interests. While details remains under discussion, the government insists that its approach will be strategic and effective. This latest trade dispute marks a significant shift in the Canada-U.S. relationship. Once built on deep economic integration and close security cooperation, that era, according to Mark Carney, is now over.
The old relationship we had with the United States, based on deepening integration of our economies and tight security and military cooperations, is over.
As the government crafts its next steps, the message from the United States is one of resilience and determination.
We can give ourselves much more than any foreign government, including the United States, can ever take away.
With trade relations at crossroads, all eyes will be on United States' next move and how Canada chooses to respond in the days ahead. Vivian Wanjala, GBS News.
Britain's King Charles experienced a temporary setback in his cancer treatment, leading to a brief hospital visit on Thursday. Buckingham Palace assures the public that his recovery remains on track, describing the incident as, and I quote, a minor bump in the road, end of quote. The king has returned home and he will reschedule his engagements as a precaution. Vivian Wanjala brings us more on the report.
Britain's King Charles has been briefly admitted to the hospital on Thursday after experiencing side effects from his cancer treatment, according to Buckingham Palace. The palace did not provide specific details about the side effects, but royal source described the setback as a minor bump in the road. The source added that the king's recovery was progressing positively and that he was in good spirits. The palace confirmed that he had returned to his residence at Clarence House and that his scheduled engagements for Friday will be postponed as precaution. The 76-year-old monarch has been undergoing treatment since being diagnosed with an unspecified form of cancer in February last year. Vivian Wanjala, GBS News.
And that's all for today. With me, your Ambassador Paul Mathenge, on the Ambassador 1 p.m. Follow all of our stories at JBS TV. It's updated through the day. We meet every Thursday and Friday as we debunk global diplomacy and geopolitics. Thank you for your time and company.
Everywhere, GBS.